You want to start collecting leads and emails, but you're not sure exactly how to do that. So today we are going to talk about how you can use Pinterest to help with your lead generation. Well, hey, I'm Michelle, and I am a Pinterest marketing strategist and Pinterest manager, and we are going to talk today all about how to use Pinterest for your lead generation. So let's go ahead and get into it. In order to use Pinterest for your lead generation, the first thing that you really have to have nailed down is your client avatar. And I know you've heard this probably a million times, but it is super important to know who you're talking to, no matter what platform you're on, where you are trying to target these leads. The real first key is that you really do have to know who you're targeting. So have that nailed down. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of that. There are a million videos out there you can watch about how to nail down your client avatar. The next thing you're going to want to do is determine the things they're searching for and what problem is it that they have that they need to have solved. And then you're going to create a lead magnet that solves that problem. So it's just one problem. Don't go too broad. Don't try to solve everything all at once. One problem. And you're going to speak directly to that problem and that client avatar. So that is where you're going to start as far as your lead gen, is making sure you know your client avatar and you have your lead magnet created and ready to go. Now, when I first started trying to create a lead magnet, my first lead magnet was trash. And it really was. I didn't do any real research. I didn't know what they were looking for. And I created this lead magnet. It was a business journal. And it's not that the lead magnet itself was terrible, but nobody wanted it. And maybe somebody somewhere did, but I certainly wasn't targeting them. So it's really important to know your audience and know what they're looking for so you can create something that they want, rather than creating something you want to create and then trying to find somebody to give it to. So just keep that in mind when you're creating your lead magnet, that it should solve one problem and it should speak to one person. Now, like I said, this isn't a lead magnet training. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but to give you a few examples or ideas of lead magnets you can create, there are multiple different kinds: checklists, guides, ebooks, mini courses. If you have a podcast, you can do like an exclusive podcast or something like that. So anything that will help create a solution to a problem that your specific client avatar is facing. And once you have that nailed down, then you can start marketing and really driving people to that offer on Pinterest. I personally have developed a mini course, and that actually has worked so much better than my little Scale It business journal that got 0 subscribe. Well, it got 1 subscriber, my sister, and like 3 more of them were just my emails that I was testing. So it was a big fail, but we all have to fail before we can win, right? So my lead magnet that I have found works really well is my Pinterest profile optimization mini course. So that's linked down below if you want to take a look at it. It's super simple. I didn't go crazy on it, but it works because it solves a specific problem for my client that needs to know, how the heck do I even optimize my Pinterest profile? So that is the winner for me so far. Now you have your lead magnet, and now you are looking to try to attract these leads on Pinterest. So I want to encourage you to really try to think outside the box and think of different angles and different ways you can come at marketing that lead magnet. So go through, do your keyword research, see if there's any trending terms, anything you want to add to those pins to help them get discovered. So that is phase 1, is to go ahead and do a little bit of research and see what people are actually searching for on Pinterest that is related to that lead magnet. You really want to create pins that are going to meet your client where they are on their journey. Your client is already likely problem aware because they're looking for a solution to that problem, right? And you've created that solution. So now we just need to meet you up with that client so they can grab your solution to their problem. When you're creating your pin, your text overlay, your title, and your description should be using the same language that they use. You need to speak like they speak and use the language that they use. So it builds that connection, like, oh, this person really knows my issues and what my problem, and if they know it so well, they probably have the right solution. So it's going to get them to want to click on that pin. Now, don't create a thin lead magnet. Just, hey, this is free. I don't have to put a lot of effort into it. Don't make that mistake. Number one, people are kind of getting used to lead magnets now. So it's got to be good, or they're not going to hand over their email address to get that lead magnet. Make it good, make it juicy, and solve one of their problems. So don't leave them hanging. You can use it as, your top of funnel where you sell a back-end offer. That's a really great idea, but make that lead magnet juicy and make them happy they downloaded it. Now we're going to get into your promotion plan. You're going to want to make sure you have a landing page. It doesn't have to be complicated or crazy. It can be simple. You just need to make sure that you're discussing the problem that they have and the transformation they're going to get, so that you can bring them from point A to point B on that landing page. So they want to put in that email address and grab your freebie offer. And that will get them on your email list, which is the best kind of lead possible, right? Because you own that email list, and that is where you want all of your leads to go. Now, the next thing I recommend, and all of this is optional, really. This is your business. You can do what you want. But what I would recommend is you create a blog post. If you have a blog, create a blog post that gives a high-level overview of what this freebie is about and talks about the transformation and why it's important. And, if you have like high-level tips that you can touch base on that blog post. And then throughout that blog post, you're going to link to the option to grab that free download. For me, it's a mini course. So throughout my blog post, I have different options where people can just pop their email address in and grab that mini course. I also have it listed on my sidebar on my blog. So it's in multiple different places on my blog. People have multiple opportunities to grab it. The other thing I do is I add it organically throughout any other blog posts where it's related at all. I have a blog post about 10 tips for Pinterest beginners. So one of my best tips is to optimize your profile. So I talk about that Pinterest profile optimization mini course within those 10 tips. I also have a blog post about 5 tips to optimize your Pinterest profile. That is all about that subject where I add my lead magnet in. So we're talking 2 additional URLs that you can start pushing your leads to on Pinterest. You're going to have your landing page. You'll have the blog post that is related to that lead magnet. And then you may have some other secondary blog posts that you're going to be pushing different pins to those, but it's still going to give you that opportunity to get a lead from those blog posts. The third tip that I have for you is if you have a YouTube channel or you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, I love YouTube for lead generation. It's one of the top traffic drivers to my website is YouTube. So I like to create a YouTube video that is related to my blog posts. And I talk all about that in a video for you next week. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure that you hit subscribe if you haven't so you get notified when that video drops. But when you add in YouTube as another URL, then you have your landing page opt-in, you have your YouTube video that you created all about why people need this lead magnet, what kind of transformation they have, and it gives you a little bit longer time period where you're building that relationship with people and they kind of have that level of trust that they maybe didn't have just from seeing your landing page. So you have that YouTube URL, your blog post, and your landing page. That's 3 URLs that you can start directing pins to. Next, let's get into the pins. I recommend that you create a static pin, an infographic, and a video pin. Now, you can do a couple different kinds of video pins. You can do different styles of static pins. If you'd like to make more than one infographic, you can. Infographics for me are much more tedious, so I usually create one infographic. That's enough for me. But if you liked creating infographics and that's your thing, then create more than one. So I will create a couple different static images, a little bit different, coming at the marketing from different angles. So for instance, I have 4 different pins I'm going to show you about today that all lead back to either a blog post, a video, or my landing page for my mini course freebie opt-in where I'm collecting my leads. The first one says, learn how to optimize your Pinterest profile to get sales. So I'm pushing towards people that have things they're selling in that, right? So we're directing that to the client avatar that maybe has products that they're trying to sell. The next one I have, you're a Pinterest beginner, learn how to optimize your profile to drive traffic. So this is directed more towards somebody brand new to Pinterest who is really looking to drive traffic to their website, and it's a really good starting spot for them. Another pin that I have is 5 tips to optimize your Pinterest profile. And that is a static pin. It actually performed quite well, and I think it's because it was an actual number, 5 tips. I think that's what did it on that one. It was very simple, it was very to the point, and it performed quite well. Another one kind of on that same driving traffic strain was learn to drive traffic with an optimized Pinterest profile. Help Pinterest find your ideal client with an optimized profile. So that's talking about how you're really trying to get Pinterest to match you up with that ideal client. Finally, we have the infographic. Optimize your Pinterest profile in 5 easy steps, and it gives quick hitters as far as, the 5 different subjects we're going to go over in that blog post. So you can see how you can look at things from a couple different angles, change up your wording, change up your description, and it may hit people differently, and it will attract different types of people looking for that same solution. Don't just make one pin, direct it to your landing page, and that's it. You're going to continue to create more and more pins. Now that we went over some of the types of pins that I am using, I want you to think about how you can create, at minimum, 1 static pin, 1 infographic, and 1 video pin. Now, video pins, you can go a couple different directions. You can do a video pin where you're actually face to camera and you're talking to them about the benefits of your lead magnet. That is a great way. It seems to perform fairly well on Pinterest. So you can do that. You can create a pin with an animation in the back, so you just get that little video boost, but it's not face to camera. If you're somebody that doesn't love being on camera, that's an option. And then as far as your static pins, make at least 1. You can do a couple if you'd like, where you just switch out colors, switch out the picture, and then maybe change that text overlay a little bit. And what I would like to see you do is not do a bunch of repins with those. So you're going to have a static pin, a video pin, and an infographic for each URL. If you're like me and you have a landing page, a blog post, and a YouTube video that you are directing traffic to for that lead magnet, then you're going to create 3 pins for your landing page, 3 pins for your YouTube video, and 3 pins for your blog post. Each of them having 1 static pin, 1 infographic, and 1 video pin. And then what you can do is you can schedule them out once a week. You'll pin the first pin to the most relevant board, and then you are going to schedule out a pin for a different URL the next week and a different URL the next week, and just kind of filter it through until you have all 9 of those pins scheduled. It's going to give you 9 weeks of pins for your lead magnet. And then once you go through that, you can either start the process all over again, make new fresh pins for those, or you can just hold and do pins to something else for a while. That's fine. I recommend doing at least 1 or 2 pins a month, directing towards your lead magnet in some way, whether it's your landing page, a blog post, or a YouTube video. Now, we don't have all the time in the world, so if you don't want to create 3 fresh new pins for each URL every single month, that's fine. I don't blame you. I don't think that I do that. I do create new ones regularly though. So at least do 1 new one a month and switch up the URLs that you're using to do that. Try to change up how you're coming at it, the text overlay you're using. Use ChatGPT if you need some new words to use, that's fine. Or if you are looking through trends and you're like, hey, this really works well for my lead magnet, create a pin that uses that trending term. The next place you want to make sure that you have your lead magnet outside of pretty much everywhere on your website. You want to have different places where you can have people sign up for your lead magnet. But on Pinterest, the other place you want to make sure that you're announcing that you have this freebie is on your banner. So if somebody clicks through on a pin and they're like, hey, I kind of like this person's content, I'm going to take a look at their profile. You want to have that lead magnet address in your banner. Now it's not clickable, but you can have it up there. The other option you can do is have the address. I always recommend putting the address up there. And then you can add a QR code. So people can just do the QR code with it. Now, most of my people are on mobile. I know that from analytics. So I don't put a QR code because they're already on their phone. Like, how are they going to get the QR code? But if you are somebody that has a bulk of your customers, or you want to even just try the QR code in your banner, give it a shot. I don't see anything wrong with that. I've done that in prior banners before, and it's not a bad thing. So definitely consider putting a QR code where it's just really easy for somebody to pop in and go directly to your lead magnet landing page. And anytime you have the ability to talk about your lead magnet, talk about it. If you have social media sites, you should be talking about it on there at least once a week. And if you have a link in bio, make sure it's in there. Don't be like I was when I first started, especially with my journal. And honestly, I think I knew my journal wasn't going to work. That's why I didn't push it so much. But once I got my mini course and I felt really confident about the value I was giving in that, it was easy for me to talk about it all the time. So make sure you're talking about your opt-in a lot. If you're on Instagram, go in your stories, talk about it at least once a week. If you are on TikTok, same thing. So just make sure you're out there and talking about it. And that's part of the reason I want so many pins on Pinterest leading back to those lead magnets, because that gets people into your world. And that's where you can nurture them into a sale, or to start reading your blog, or they become part of your world. Every pin that you have out there is like a little breadcrumb and a place where people can find you. So the more pins you have out there, the better. But you just want to make sure you're doing it in the right way, where you're not spamming the platform. And if you use the strategy that I have by using 3 different URLs and spacing those out week to week, you're going to be good to go. So I hope this was helpful. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. So if you are inclined, please subscribe to this channel, where you can find a lot more Pinterest tips. We talk about even more than that. So you're going to start seeing more videos on blogging and YouTube and things like that. So if that's interesting to you, hit the like button. Next week, we are going to talk about why you should add YouTube videos to your blog. So if you're a blogger and that is interesting to you, or maybe you're on YouTube and you kind of want the reverse, like maybe should I have a blog including my YouTube? Tune in next week. We're going to talk all about that. So we'll talk soon, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.